The show is made possible in part by its supporting sponsors: Blue Water Power Group of Companies, Joe's Discount Tire, and AskGuy.ca. I've really been looking forward to this. I look forward to all of my interviews, but I got to tell you, this gentleman sitting beside me, it's been a joy to watch him grow, not only as a musician, but a young man. Chris Molyneaux, thanks for welcoming me back into your musical abode, I guess it is.
Thanks for having me back on your show, Dave.
Well, having you back, like the first time we just spoke a moment ago, it was 11 years ago. It was episode 18 of the show. So a lot has happened with you since then. But generally, how you doing?
I couldn't have been better.
Yeah, you're doing great. Let's go back to you're originally from Brights Grove, or
that's right.
Yeah,
Brights
okay.
Grove.
All right. And did you go to school out here as well? Then is that right?
Went to school at St. Mike's.
St. Mike's. Okay. Mm-hmm. What was school like for you, Chris?
It was definitely a different time. Like growing up like a young autistic child in an era where like not many people knew what it was, and those who did know were kind of afraid to talk about it. So at first it was like rather isolating. Like there were teachers and kids who didn't really know what to do with me or anything. But I do think though, as we're going to talk about later, like the music that I play now helped people to understand better the type of person that I was.
Right. When was your first taste of music? Was that in school or was that later?
It happened while I was in school. The first time I realized I could play a song by ear was when Dad and I were heading out to a cycling event, and Top Heidi's "Free Falling" came on.
Oh yeah.
Came on the radio, and for whatever reason, that 3-chord structure just kind of stuck in my head the whole day. And then when I came home, I was playing on the piano. I was taking lessons at that time, but that I wasn't reading any sheet music. No one taught me how to play that song. I just, for whatever reason, I just knew how to play it.
Do you remember how old you were when that happened?
I was 9 going on 10.
Yeah, okay, so very, very young. Now, can we talk a little bit about, you say, you were kind of like isolated compared to the other students because of being autistic.
Yep.
People didn't really know what it was at that time, and then when they did, they were afraid to talk about it. Why, including the teachers, right? Like, why do you think people are afraid to talk about it?
Well, they weren't afraid to talk about it because they didn't have the resources that they did now. Like there wasn't as much information going around about what autism is, about what causes it. People didn't know that it was something that you were born with. It was just like, oh, do you catch it from something? Like,
right.
There wasn't as much reliable information as there was out there, and as a result, like there was a lot more stigma surrounding it. It was the fear of the unknown that made people so that made so iffy about autism at the time.
And so did that make it other children? They didn't know how to handle you either. Was there bullying? Was there teasing, that sort of thing, because of it?
There was a little bit of that, but I think, but I do think that some of the resources that were available at the time, like educational assistance and some other disability services, definitely helped to make that easier when things got tough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And not just for other people and them dealing with it, but you dealing with it as well, and their reaction to it. Right? Was that challenging?
I think when people understood what it was that I was going through. Oops, just tapped your mic there.
That's
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Understood what I was going through. That helped, because it's like once they knew, and they saw me when they saw me having anxiety issues and that kind of thing, they knew how to help me. They knew how to say okay, here's help him like settle down and like and stay focused on what he needs to do.
Yeah, right. Now, moving into high school, you carried, obviously music became your life, would you say? Like, I mean, you've really done so much. But there was a time when you had to make some decisions, and your family very, very supportive, your dad. You had to make some decisions about, okay, am I going to do this as a hobby, or am I going to do this for a living? And obviously, you've chosen the professional side of it, and it's worked out very well for you. But at what point did that conversation happen where you said, this is what I want to do for a living?
Well, I think it became a decision to go professional. The first time I realized, oh, you can actually go to school for music, and then you can actually get a degree from it, and then you could use that degree to show people like, hey, I know what I'm talking about when I talk about music. So it kind of became like became like a step-by-step progress, like doing like summer programs, and then eventually when I graduated high school, like I took like a year off and did like community courses there every weekend, and then that turned into getting accepted at Humber and actually going to school there for. I think it was like a total of 5 years.
Yeah. And congratulations on that, because I remember when you shared with me that you were going to do that, and talking to your dad's like, yep, he's going to Humber, and I was so excited for you, as I think so many other people were. You've had a really, I would say, a positive philosophy that you carry with you through, like everybody else, life struggles, and sometimes. Did you ever feel like you wanted to quit?
Well, you have to love what you do. Yeah. That's the most important. That's the most important thing. Like whether you're doing it as a hobby or you're doing it as a profession, it's something that, in my opinion, you have to enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's ever been a point, like there's definitely been struggles with trying to do something professionally what a lot of people see as just a hobby, and it's still kind of, even today, it's still kind of hard to shake people out of that mindset. But through the highs and lows of having this as a profession, it's always been something I love doing more than anything else. And I think that was part of the reason why I wanted to go professional with this, was because I have a job, like I have like a full-time job like right now, but even then, like there's still something like I can't imagine myself like doing anything else, like at least something that I enjoy more than this. Yeah.
You've had some success on YouTube a while back. What was the first song that really went viral for you that you did?
So this was about so we're talking about how long we've both been doing this.
Right.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a cover of Get Lucky by Daft Punk, and that hit over 300,000 views, but that's I guess that's nothing compared to some of the numbers I've put up on TikTok now.
Yeah, and talk about that on TikTok, and you've had some kind of famous reactions on there too, right?
Yes, I've had a few videos on TikTok reach the millions.
Yeah.
And I guess just like anything else on the internet, it's always the dog and cat videos.
Right.
Yeah.
But describe maybe the first video on TikTok that really hit the million for you.
Well, the first one that went millions.
Yeah.
First one that hit the millions was a duet between like a piano player and like a sad dog, just making like whimpering noises.
Right.
Yeah.
TikTok certainly allows a lot of people to be really creative, right? But do you when you, and I've watched your TikTok videos, they're not only musically entertaining, but they're comedically entertaining. I mean, like in a positive way.
I wouldn't consider myself a comedian, but thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, but they're funny to watch, and they're a pleasure to kind of bring some joy into it, Do you put much time into preparing for a TikTok video, or do you just kind of get a
Well,
idea and let's do it?
It's kind of hard to describe because like the initial idea for a TikTok can happen like that because I'm just like scrolling through like I'm scrolling through like my For You page and I'm like, oh, that'd be a good one to do. So I quickly like set the phone on by my ring light, attach the microphone, get my saxophone out and everything. But the actual process of recording can take like several takes.
Yeah,
and that can sometimes that'll take me like a couple hours because it's like I've got the idea in my head, but I've got the idea in my head, but the execution isn't always there.
Yeah, right. I hear you.
And it takes me like
trust me, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But obviously, you've had great successes from Humber. Let's go back a little before that. We kind of skipped over high school. You went to, it was St. Clair at the time, right?
St. Clair, yeah.
And was that, obviously the music was there with you all through that, but aside from the music, was that compared to public school and the autism, how was that?
Well, for one, having my dad as a teacher there at the time definitely helped.
Yeah.
Because everyone kind of knew already that it was like, oh, this is Mr. Molyneaux's son.
Right.
So I think
that's a gift and a curse, right?
Yes, it's a gift in the sense that it's like the bullies disappeared.
Right.
Because it was like, okay, it's like everyone kind of knew right away. It's like, okay, that's Mr. Molyneaux's son. You don't pick on the rugby coach's son.
Right.
Yeah.
And then,
but yeah, also a curse because it's like he and I were like tied at the hip,
right.
So it was kind of hard to kind of hard to like become my own
Dad,
person.
Can you just go over there for a minute? Kind of thing, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm talking to someone I really like. Just
yeah,
go,
right.
just stand over there.
You and your dad are really, really close.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a joy for a father to have a great relationship with their children. Mm-hmm. Are you, and you're both, I looked back at the first interview we did on episode 18 of the show.
Right.
And we were in a room, I think it was the other room out there, where we had all the Toronto Maple Leaf. You're both big Maple Leaf fans.
Unfortunately.
Are you still?
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough, especially this era where I have no idea what they're going to do, what they're going to do in the years ahead. But I don't know. My dad's lived through much worse than I have. I'll just say that. So I think I've got it good compared to him.
What keeps you going as a Leaf fan? Why, I've never asked that question to any Leaf fan, and I know a lot of them. But what keeps you going as a Leaf fan?
That's something I've asked myself like quite a few times. But like I always think about when the Toronto Raptors won the NBA championship and how huge the parade was.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I remember watching it live, going like, if the Leafs win the Stanley Cup, it's that like the whole city of Toronto will shut down.
The CN Tower's probably coming down that way. Right?
Yeah.
So,
but I'm just thinking like this, like I watch all the other teams that have like won the Stanley Cup over the years, and I always think back to like what's it going to look like when the Leafs win. It'll just feel like much more rewarding. Yeah.
Do you want to be there? Or do you want to be watching it on TV when that day comes? Where would you like to be?
That's a tough question. I mean, like it's definitely like it's definitely something like I fantasize like being like down there for. But at the same time, it's like maybe it was like maybe I don't want to get myself killed out there. So it's like
yeah. Well, it'd be crazy for sure. Well, hopefully we can come back and discuss that experience if the Leafs ever get all the way there. We'll see. Outside of music, you do sports or anything else?
Well, I did do sports when I was in high school. Dad, of course, being like a rugby coach, I did take up a bit of the sport myself. We actually played like a fun little exhibition game out in Peterborough. It was just touch rugby. Like we weren't like tackling each other or anything. So we do keep that up occasionally. I do a lot of bike riding as well, to stay fit. So
You get have you done the Grand Fondo or anything like that?
Well, I've done the Great Cycle Challenge every August for the past few years.
Nice.
So like raising money to beat kids cancer.
Right. Awesome. Good for you. Well, let's talk about that too. Like your community involvement. You like to participate in a lot of community events when you can.
Yeah, I just feel like when you're born in a small community like this, it's like I feel like you should be putting in an effort to make the place that you grew up in better than where you left it. Yeah. That's always been like one of my lifelong philosophies.
Yeah, a great philosophy, and one of your other philosophies that I remember. I mean, I used to say on the show, click to share this with 5 people, and you would always say, come out once in a while with something. And I'll never forget one time you come out and you said, more people should learn to do
this.
Right? You remember? That's awesome. And I remember seeing that and going, it really is that simple, right?
Yeah.
Is it really that simple?
I've kind of like grown with this thought over the years. It's like you should have more reasons to smile. Like, because sometimes if you because I thought of it as like, if I smile for no reason, I'm just gonna look like there's something wrong.
Right.
Yeah, but I think it's now more so like, be the reason people smile.
Yeah.
Be the reason why you smile. Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Laughter's good, right?
Laughter is good.
Let's go back over to the music side of things now. Do you remember your first, wow, I just got to play with that person?
Wow, this was the wow, I just got to play with Josh Ramsey story.
Yeah,
that was an unusual story to say the least, because he puts out a video where he asks his fans, what's the weirdest instrument you know how to play? And he gets out a harmonica. And I think the joke was, like, he's the lead singer of Mariana's Trench, like a pop punk, like rock and roll band. He's got the blue hair, there's a blue hair going, like the emo look and such. You wouldn't expect him, of all people, to play the harmonica.
Right.
I think that was the joke. But I remember sitting there the first time and watching, like, that's not a weird instrument. Not even by a long shot. So
especially,
I thought this,
especially if you ask Mike Stevens, right?
Yes, like this. But yeah, that's exactly it. We're over in Sarnia. We're spoiled by Mike Stevens. Like, I can't listen to anyone else playing the harmonica other than him.
Right, world renowned.
Yeah. So
what have we got here?
So I responded by showing off this. This is my iwi, which is short for, you can see it there, electric wind instrument.
Okay.
The best way I could describe it is, it
looks like a clarinet to me.
Yeah, it's basically like a woodwind instrument, but you play it like it's a synthesizer.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Can you demonstrate it?
Well, I would have to hook it up later. You would have to cut.
You don't just turn it on like you didn't charge it up with a USB or something?
It does run on battery, but I do have to plug it into
have
to plug it into a speaker. So
that's an iwi.
Yeah.
So you played that.
So I played that for. Was
that like a duet thing that you did, or
it was like a stitch.
Oh yeah, right. Okay.
It's like a stitch, so where it's like you see the beginning of that clip, and then it cuts back, and then it cuts back to me, and then I show off. I show it off. I play it for a little bit, and I thought, okay, cool opportunity to show something off to that not many people on TikTok have seen.
I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, whatever. Didn't expect anything else out of it. He responds like a month later, and he's just blown away by it. Like, I can't repeat exactly what he said, but he was like, that's like a 90s video game. That's so rad.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
And then from there, what happened?
And from there, I just kind of left a comment like, oh, cool, we should, I kind of left a comment like, oh, cool, we should do something together. Something you just kind of throw at the wall, not expecting it to stick. And then his solo album comes out, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll draw some attention to that, and just kind of noodled the Iwi over one of his songs. He responds on Twitter saying, like, you should come down and play one of our shows. Wow. And so May of that year, we go to Brantford and we get like VIP tickets for one of his solo shows. So the VIP involves like a pre-show Q&A and picture.
Yep.
So we sit like front row. He's taking questions from fans and whatnot. Finally, Dad puts up his hand. And he goes, "Hey Josh, what's the weirdest instrument you know how to play?" Kind of looks at me and goes, "Chris?"
So he didn't know you were there?
He didn't know I was coming, but when he saw me, he recognized me. Yeah. Which again, like, did not expect that at all. So of course, like he brings up the video, and some of the fans are like, "Oh my God, it's him!" Like some of his fans recognize me from my video.
Cool.
And so afterwards, we go to get the picture of him, and I'm hoping that we can actually have like a bit of a back and forth conversation, not a long one, but just enough to get the wheels going. But you know how things are, like if you
very
go
expedited.
You know how things are when you go to a meet and greet. It's like, hi, snap, see you later.
Yeah, pretty much.
But so that kind of happened. We quickly took the picture, and as I was leaving, I was like, you know where to find me now. Again, another phrase that you just kind of throw at the wall. You don't expect it to stick, but you throw it at the wall anyway on the chance that it might.
Yeah.
So Dad and I go. We have we go get a drink at the bar from like across the street from the theater, and then it was like, and we come back to watch the show. His manager walks up and he goes, Where the hell have you been? Josh has been looking for you." Like he had been wanting me to go up, do sound check so I could play with them, and since I wasn't expecting that, I missed it. So, but we talked for a bit, and it's like, we're playing a Guelph next week. Do you want to come join us there? And I was like, I'm in. So we go over to Guelph, so go over to Guelph. I'm bringing the saxophone and the Iwi because, like, I don't know. In my mind, it's like I gotta show off what I actually play for a living.
Right.
And then we play two songs. Like one was like one on the saxophone, and then one on the Iwi. And then when the Iwi came out, like, of course he loved it, the fans loved it, and it was a really good time. And the way we talked to each other afterwards, like, I would not be surprised if that was the last of it. So
right. So you keep in touch since then, sporadically.
We haven't actually we haven't talked to each other directly since then. But I see that he's in the process of recording a new album with Marius Trench, and every time I see it, I'm like, he knows where to find me.
Yeah. The communication lines are open, right?
Yes,
and, that's good.
I was just gonna say, you know where to find me on social media. Just hit up one of my private messages, and yeah.
That's awesome. That's a great story, and you tell it so well. And when you tell it with a smile the whole time. Just and why not, right? I remember myself. I don't know if it was already labeled, but the first time I interviewed you, I called you the saxophone sensation. Is that name stuck? Do you consider yourself a sensation?
It's that's a bit of a stretch to call myself a sensation, but it's definitely something. It's definitely something that's that I've grown to be recognized for.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And you've played in. Your resume is this long. We can't even show it on the camera, right? Like with the groups that you've played with. And playing with Mike Stevens. I remember, I think you played out here at Kenwick Place or whatever.
The Brights Grove Canada concert.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. And you've done a lot of local stuff.
Yep.
I've seen you down at First Fridays, just standing on the corner and playing the saxophone. And then
that was a different time.
Right.
Yeah.
What was that like doing that?
That's definitely a different experience because it's like most of the time when you're in a band, the saxophone is kind of like sporadic. Like they give you a break. They give you like a break here to play, give you a break there, break there.
Time, yeah.
I'm not constantly playing all the time. But when you're busking, it's like you're constantly having to like fire out songs and like play like the whole. It's like the whole
keep
parts
going.
of Mm-hmm.
Have you done that anywhere else other than Sarnia?
I've done Grand Bend Busker Fest a couple times, but like but other than those were fun because it's like you're right. Those were fun because it's like you're right along the beach, and you also get to meet some other people who are busking there as well.
And people are expecting it because it's busking.
People know that it's coming, so it's like you get more tips throughout the day because people have their loose change ready.
Right, gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
What about, let's talk about some bands. Like I know, the one that sticks out for me is the Rock and Roll Christmas concert.
Yes.
How fun is that?
That was a lot of fun. Like when Dave Chalk put that first put that together, and that's always fun because it's like you get to do all the Christmas classics, but in the style that everyone loves, like getting to play like say Angels We've Heard on High in the style of like Journey's Don't Stop Believing, that kind of thing. Yeah.
And you play with some other amazing musicians like Andy Hardman on the drums and Dave Chalk and
Stu Brandon on guitar.
Yeah, and Caitlin Mason and I think Rob Jenkins is in there singing and Denise. Mm-hmm. There's just a real. I ask this question to every time I've interviewed a musician as of late. Do you believe that Sarnia or Lambton County area is a hub for musicians?
It's definitely turned into a hub in recent years. Like I don't think it was always like this because I think back then it was like it felt like you had like Bayfest into like a smaller scale like Ribfest and not much else. Now it feels like there's like a whole bunch more venues where live music is always feels like there's always live music happening somewhere now.
Right.
Like whether it's like one of the like the Refined Fools or like Monster Variety or like it's like all the breweries. Of course, like Imperial Theater has really like ramped up all the acts that they're getting as of late, and of course you have a Border Fest. And you have Revelry, and you have all the other outdoor festivals. There's definitely like a lot more opportunities to play now as there was like heck even 10 years ago. Yeah. Do you think it's definitely it wasn't always a hub for music, but it's grown into one recently, and that's something like I've been really happy to see. That's a process I've really been happy to see happen.
Do you enjoy? Now, obviously, you enjoy playing around here, but do you talk about going out of town to concerts, but you've traveled a lot as of recent. Let's talk about the latest for you, Classic Seger.
Yeah, Classic Seger.
How did that come about?
So that came about. That came about like in the middle of COVID. Like there was no gigs happening. Like all I was doing was like streaming myself playing. It's like playing online and such. But then Darren McClay calls me up and says like, "Hey, I'm looking to put together a Bob Seger tribute band." Like, and at the time we were rehearsing out in Wallaceburg. Mm-hmm. So we go over to this cool little house studio in Wallaceburg to play, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be fun, like playing like old time rock and roll and turn the page, and that's so will be a nice little experience. We play there, and it already felt like we had been together for years.
Is that right?
Like the chemistry was that natural, and like the level of professionalism was like here, like compared to like I've worked with like some great people in Sarnia, and don't get me wrong, but the guys in Classic Seger were just on a whole new level, and I'm like, okay, this is something that could possibly work. And the fact that when we talked about like what shows we were going to do in the future, he was already planning out like, okay, we're gonna be going like across Ontario. Like we're not just gonna be sticking to like we're not a band that like plays bars for $50 out in like the Southwest region. Like we're going out and we're actually gonna sell out theaters.
Yeah, and you have, right?
Yeah,
and not just in Ontario.
Not just Ontario. We're going all over. Right? We're going all over the continent now. We've been like that. That band has brought me to the United States for the first time in my life.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
and You were just, where were you just recently? Cincinnati, was it maybe? Or
That was a little early. We came back from we went to Connecticut, Hartford, and Torrington, and then out to Baltimore, Maryland.
And you've got a great team in there of singers and musicians, and behind the scenes, like Dan Tidball.
Yep, Dan Tidball does all our sound.
Yeah, and the lighting. It's a full professional production.
It is a full production with not just like the band on stage, but like you said, the sound, the lights, the visuals, everything.
And I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna pull some strings here. Hopefully, like you guys are playing at the Imperial Theater in October, I believe it is.
October 13th, and that show sold out within like 2 hours of the tickets first becoming available.
And I didn't get a ticket, Chris, so I'm hoping somewhere somebody, because they always save some somewhere, don't they? I'm hoping I can find a couple of tickets to that show. But the fact that that sold out, did you ever think that you would be a part of something that would sell out and sell out as quickly as that did?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a higher level than like anything else I played in, but I didn't think that it would be like I didn't think it would be like it would be this high, at least not here. Like I know Bob Seger had a following here in Sarnia because of his close proximity to Detroit, Michigan, and everything.
I've seen him twice live.
I was lucky enough to see him on his retirement tour, 2019. But I just did not imagine that like our level of fame as like a band of our own would take off at the level that it did.
What do you think it has done that? Aside from the attraction of Bob Seger, I mean, there's a lot of those fans out there, and we haven't really heard much from since 19, like they say. But aside from that attraction, what do you think it is that brings people to sell out these theaters?
I think too. It's definitely like we've started to grow a reputation as like a band of our own because it's like because of our like level of like talent and skill that we have. Because I know that in Sarnia at least, like of course, like not to toot my own horn, no pun intended, but I definitely have kind of like become a draw like when someone says like Chris Molyneaux's in this band, like it happens, like and also too like Liv Gogas, who's like a veteran of Theater Sarnia Productions, like she's singing like backing vocals, and everyone else in that band too, like Ian McClay, our bass player, also does like Downriver Band, like all of the musicians in this group have sort of like built up like their own name, so that when it all comes together, it's like, okay, you've got all these talented musicians on the same stage together. This is something worth checking out. So,
Is this the highest level professional that you've hit so far? It sounds like it. So
far, yeah.
When I say so far, do you expect more from yourself in the future?
That's like, well, my dad often likes to like hype me up and say like, listen, like there's something. He keeps telling me like there's something bigger on the horizon. Yeah. And it's like I don't want to get too carried away and like too full of myself to think like, oh, this is like, oh yeah, someone's gonna like call me and we're gonna tour all over the world. It's like, no, I just try to focus on where I am right now. Yeah. And if something bigger happens, then yeah, maybe years down the line we'll meet up again. I get to talk about like what else I've done since then. No.
Don't forget us little people. Let's talk about you and your dad a little bit more. We touched on it briefly, in school, and obviously family, and your dad especially is a big encouragement and supporter of you.
Yep.
But there's a business side to this music world, right?
Yes, there is.
And that's a learning process as well. Your dad has been a big part of the business side of this career of yours?
Yeah, he's definitely helped me on the on the managing side as well as the traveling side too. Mm-hmm. Like now that we've been on the road a lot. Mm-hmm. It just, I don't know, sorry, just to pause a little bit. he's definitely helped me. He's definitely like helped me out on the business side of music, the stuff that goes on like behind the scenes that not everyone sees. So it helps me to focus on the onstage product, just playing, like hitting my marks, hitting the right notes, that kind of thing. So, whilst with Dad, like he's taught me a lot, and he's helped me to like understand like the business side of it, so that one day I will be able to handle the business side of it. But like as long as he's been there, like he's definitely been like the behind the scenes person, like helping me out, like saying where we can go, where we can stay when we hit the road, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Do you ever, or does Dad ever, this is a trick question now, putting on the spot, have to learn to define the line between father and son and business?
Yes. He's kind of had to have been the one to be like, okay, this is like a father-son thing, or this is okay, I'm going to be a roadie thing, or I'm like, okay, I'm going to be like your PR guy or something, right. PR guy or something like that. It was the same as like when we were in high school. There was Tim the teacher, there was Tim the coach, but then there was Tim the dad, but that was after school. Right. So like he kind of like he's always had to like take on different roles. I have to take on different roles too. It's like he's not doing all the work. Like you're just talking to me, the person. But when I get out there, I'm the sax player, and the sax player kind of exists on a different level than what I am as a person. It's still me, but it's like a different version of me. Does that make any sense?
It absolutely does. Yeah. And then, so sometimes, and speaking as a dad myself, sometimes we dads tend to, when we're helping our children in maybe a business thing, we cross that line a little bit, and we're like, listen, son. Right? And then, but that works both ways, doesn't it? Where you have to listen, but sometimes do you have to tell Dad, like, back off, let's give me a break, or anything like that? Or
sometimes. Like there are a couple times where it's like, okay, I have to be the one to set up my saxes, because I know what piece goes where when I'm setting it up. I know how to place it on the stage. So let me do that side. Let me do that side of the job. Yeah. Or any like the playing stuff. Like he'll give me advice. He'll give me advice on how to conduct myself on stage. But a lot of what I do now was something that I've had to learn by myself, because I'm the only musician in the family, so it's like I'm the only one who knows that part of it. They know more than they did when I know that first. No, but it's like they know like when I'm at my best and when I'm not. Right. But at the same time it's like if I have to improve my onstage product, that's a me thing. And that's a me thing. That makes
total sense. Yeah. We're talking a lot about your dad. Who else in the family do you feel has supported you, and friends? Who else is around you that gives you the encouragement to keep doing what you're doing?
Well, we haven't really mentioned my mom yet, but she's definitely been helpful. Like again, as kind of a supportive role. She's having her like being like a store owner herself, like she understands like the business part of it as well, like especially the financial part of it too.
Oh yeah, right.
So also like she's kind of become like the fashion side of my business. It's like here's what you wear on here's what you wear on stage. So you're not just going to come out in
t-shirt
in like short in a t-shirt and shorts like you're Adam Sandler like cutting a promo for one of his movies. No, you're going to dress up in a proper dress shirt, the tie if it's necessary. You got the nice black pants. So And so then, yeah,
Play the role, right?
yeah, and also like anytime she gets an opportunity now to like be like, oh yeah, we'll close the store for a couple days. We'll enjoy the slow road trip.
Right.
Like she'll take every opportunity she can as well. My sister Heather, she has a job as a speech and language pathologist because like she was kind of inspired by like how I learned to communicate, like being an autistic person, because my speech was delayed. Like that's a common symptom in like kids with autism, is that like their speech either gets delayed or they have to like communicate some other way, like sign language. Mm-hmm. So she was inspired by that, and then that became her job, and she's also been an inspiring person in my life, and also to a lot of the and you were saying like friends. A lot of the bandmates who I've met along the way, like David Denise Chalk, I first met them through Whiskey Rain, and then we did like the Rock and Roll Christmas show together, and now we both became like friends out of that.
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for a lot of musicians. I consider a lot of the people in Classic Seger to be my friends as well. Like, Liv Gogus and I go back to like a Nightingale course.
Right. Oh yeah.
So when she came along as like a backing vocalist, I thought like that was like a perfect way for our lives to come full circle, because we've both shared the stage in so many different ways. Like we've done like theater shows, and now that we're in the band together, like it's a very different thing, like playing yourself on stage versus like playing a character.
Sure.
And I learned from her that some people are more comfortable like playing different characters than they are playing themselves.
I was just gonna say, which is harder?
First, I find that for a lot of like the theater people here in Sarnia, they find being themselves harder.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And like don't get me wrong, like I've done theater shows myself, and it's been an absolute blast. But like to be able to go out and be yourself and get applauses at the end of like every song, like that's a rewarding experience.
That's fulfilling, right?
Yeah.
What's on the list for Chris Molyneaux that Chris hasn't done yet?
I could name a whole bunch of things.
Give me your
but
top two.
My top two. Being able to play, being able to play like overseas would be nice.
Oh wow, why is that?
Well, just because to add more, like to be able to add more venues to my resume. Like it's like going out to the United States was cool, but like I don't know. It's like, but I know like jazz and like rock and some of the other like genres I played. Those are worldwide. So like if we can get our act, maybe it's Classic Seger, maybe it's with someone else, like this is out to like another part of the world, like somewhere in Europe or Asia or something.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you accomplish that.
Well, I'll try. I can't make any promises, but I'll try.
I have no doubt, and there's so many around you that have no doubt that you will. You just do. You're the do guy right now. He's going to do Humber. He just does it, and you just do it. And it's a process, right? You know, to go through all these steps. It's all been learning, a journey, growing as a musician, as a person. How old are you now, Chris?
I am 29. I'm going to be turning 30 in December.
Okay, all right. And do you have goals written down? Do you write them down, or do you just think about them and then just do the steps? What's your formula?
Like for when I practice, or
well,
like
just
what
your formula for the future, like what?
Well, I just kind of think of it as like, you know, like everything I do is like a step upwards. Mm-hmm. And the thing is that like it's not always like a linear process. Like sometimes like one day like you will be playing like a sold out theater like somewhere somewhere in the States, but then the next weekend like you might be just like jamming with somebody in a bar. Like it's a thing that still happens, like if you know what I'm talking about. So it's like it's not always like a linear process, but like it's not something that I write down, but I'm just thinking like, okay, what could I possibly do that can improve me from where I am today.
Yeah.
And I understand that like not everyone has like the privilege of like knowing knowing what they want to do. Sometimes like people like spend
Some
their
of
whole
us take longer figuring it out, right?
Some of them take longer, and like if you make it at like 40, 50, 60, that's not too late.
Right.
That's not too late. If you figure it out whenever you figure it out, that's amazing.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you one more question before we wrap up here. You, a while ago, like I said, you gave this advice of everybody needs to do more of this. Do you have any other advice for people watching? What's going on in our world? Like, how do we deal with it all?
Yeah, we were handed some very difficult things, some very difficult things like over the last 3 years. Like COVID took a lot out of us, but now like it feels like we're starting to pick up the pieces and trying to adapt to like the world we have now, which is in some ways the same, in some ways not. But I'm just saying, if you have something that does make you happy, even if it's the littlest thing, and let's build build your lives around that. It doesn't even have to be like a profession. If it is a profession, great. But build your life around the little things that make you happy. It doesn't have to be something like big or grandiose, but it's like the little things add up a lot faster than you think. And with the music part of it, there is like a grand scale to playing on stage and everything, but it's always like the little stuff, like the whole like prepping for a show, getting to go on the road and seeing all these nice things, the people that you meet like when you're talking to them like after the show, like these are all like little factors of like what I do now, but they all add up to like
grand picture.
They all add up to like a grand picture. So it's like, so I guess that's my little piece of advice is that like look for all the little things that find you joy, because like you don't even realize like how many of them there are and how much that paints a picture just on its own. Yeah.
Chris, keep being sensational, my friend.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for your talents that you share with all of us. And reach out to him. Tell everybody where you are on TikTok, etc. Where can they find you? So
on TikTok, it's at Chris Molyneaux 93. So like it's an Molyneaux.
Okay.
So that's Chris Molyneaux 93 on TikTok. I'm also on Instagram under the same handle. You can also find me on Facebook. I also have my own website, chrismolyneaux.com. If you want, it's kind of like a hub for like everything. There's of all the like the videos and like pictures and like all the bands. I mean, you can find me there.
All right, we'll post all of that in the comments below. And thanks for watching, everybody. And I'll say it again, like I always do: click the like, click the love, but the most important button you can click is the share button, so we can share Chris's story and all the other people that I interview you. But right now, that's all the time I got for you this week. Have a great week and an even better weekend. We'll see you next time, right here on the show. Bye-bye for now.
So first off, if I hit this button right here, it can actually play octaves. And then the next thing here, so I'll just show this off real quick. This one patch can actually play fifths. It'll hold the first note I play and then just play whatever the next note I play. this is my favorite sound here because it's just so rock and roll.